Hi, y'all. So I've been under the weather, but hopefully my next video will be on aromatherapy. Okay, trying to put together. I have videos put together, but I felt like I was hit with a cold and or flu symptoms as of yesterday. I'm feeling better today, but it's just very taxing. Okay, but I want to tell y'all, and I didn't even finish watching the Democratic debate, which is here in Charleston. Whatever. Um, I want to tell y'all what my client from a couple years ago said. I've been a therapist for 17 years, okay, doing clinical and resort, working in clinical settings and at resorts. So we had a group of, I don't know if they were all from the CDC, but this lady was in this group. We have corporate groups that come to the resort, okay? You know, like Johnson and Johnson comes every year, so on and so forth, okay? So anyway, this lady, she is one of the three top most tensed person I've ever laid hands on. Okay, she was like number two. And the first person was a celebrity, and I'm not going to say who it was, but you would know this person if I told you who it was. So just imagine the stress and the intensity of this lady from the CDC. Okay, she she told me that, I said, "Why are you so stressed?" I start asking her questions. Like, what's going on? Because you're like brick. You're like concrete here up in your shoulders and in your entire back. And she was like, "I work for the CDC, kind of up there, you know." And she said, "It's stressful because they really don't care." So I start prying. And she goes into telling me how, like, back when the CIA was involved with cocaine trafficking, involved with paying traffickers back in the 80s, and, when crack came out in mostly urban neighborhoods, urban developments, and the violence and the crime rate went up, and the drug use also went up. And then on top of that, this was like in the 80s during the Reagan administration. So you had Nancy Reagan, if I'm not mistaken, come out with the Just Say No to Drugs campaign. And then, the DARE program came out, if I'm not mistaken, as a result of that. So she was giving me she was telling me basically how, how they let drugs in certain areas. They put, programs out like DARE to all the students. I'm not sure if you guys had the DARE program, the Drug and Alcohol Resistance Education Program. And, you got a little certificate. I'll use a thumbnail if I can find it of the logo. So anyway, she said how it was basically all for the point of tracking statistics. They put, drugs or diseases out. And she was saying this now. She was saying this, I was putting two and two together. She was saying how they just basically, they let viruses and, it's all about tracking statistics and numbers. They'll allow crack and cocaine to be trafficked in, and then they put the drug, the DARE program in the schools, and it was all about tracking, how many of these students died or got arrested as a result of the inflow of crack and cocaine in the area where Dare also was in the schools. So one more instance, when she said that, it made me think about, I guess last year when we had, I forget the name of the virus. Y'all tell me what the mosquitoes. They genetically modified mosquitoes to eat the infected mosquitoes that was causing, hydrocephalitis in children born to the mothers who got bit by the mosquitoes. I knew they let out some of these genetically modified mosquitoes that were supposed to kill off the bad mosquitoes in Brazil, but also the Florida governor came under fire because when he was asking for federal funding, it was discovered that he was invested or owned one of the aerosol companies that was spraying to combat the mosquitoes in Florida. So he was actually getting a cut, asking for the federal funds, but then also owning the company fully or partnership in a company somehow that was involved in spraying to combat mosquitoes. So whatever the CDC, whatever this, for them to actually say that this is a pandemic, believe them. It just makes me think, how this thing is jumping around and not directly, to countries where there was no direct contact with China. Makes me think that, of course, it's a biological weapon and they're just releasing it everywhere they want to. So just be prepared. We're not to be afraid. I pray Psalms 31, pray it over yourself, but be wise and make sure that you prepare, because they're talking about quarantines and so on and so forth. Makes me think about those, what you call it, those little caskets, those plastic caskets that were set, people were talking about around the time of Hurricane Harvey. Is that what that didn't really work out how they wanted it to? It's just plan B, plan C, to kill us off, depopulate. All right. I don't know when I'll do videos. I've just been resting and taking meds. Okay, you guys. I'll talk with you later. I am working on some videos. We'll see.